Hi kids, I'm back from holidays, but I still can't see you yet. So I thought I would read some stories to you on the computer. This book is called Penelope and the Monsters by Sherry Radford. I'm never, ever, not in a million, trillion, gazillion years going to go to sleep, Penelope announced to her father as he tucked her into bed. You're going to be awfully tired if you stay up that long, her father said. But there are monsters in here. I don't see any monsters. That's because they're hiding. They only come out after you leave, Penelope explained. There's no such thing as monsters. Now go to sleep. Penelope's father turned out the light and shut the door behind him. Penelope looked around the dark room nervously. Suddenly, her dresser drawers started to bang. She pulled the quilt up over her chin. If there are any monsters in there, you can just go away right now, she gulped. No monsters here, said a tiny voice from inside the drawer. We're not monsters, we're gnomes, said another tiny voice. Shh, we don't want her to hear that, said a third tiny voice. Ah! Screamed Penelope. Penelope's father came running into the room and turned on the light. What is it? He cried. There are gnomes in my dresser, shrieked Penelope. Penelope's father walked over to the dresser. He opened each drawer and looked inside. Nope, he said. No gnomes. Of course not, said Penelope. They only come out after you leave. Go to sleep, her father said. I'm never, ever, not in a million, trillion, gazillion years going to go to sleep, Penelope said. Penelope's father turned out the light and closed the door. As soon as he was gone, the doors to Penelope's closet started to rattle. Penelope pulled the quilt up over her nose. If there are any monsters in there, you can just go away right now, she gulped. No monsters here, said a medium-sized voice from inside the closet. We're not monsters, we're trolls, said another medium-sized voice. Shh, we don't want her to know that, said a third medium-sized voice. Ah! Screamed Penelope. Penelope's father opened the door and turned on the light. What is it now? He asked. There are trolls in my closet, shrieked Penelope. Penelope's father sighed and opened the closet doors. Look, no trolls. Of course not, said Penelope. They only come out after you leave. Go to sleep, her father said. I'm never, ever, not in a million, trillion, gazillion years going to go to sleep, Penelope said. Penelope's father turned out the light and closed the door. As soon as he was gone, Penelope's bed started to shake. Penelope pulled her quilt up over her eyes. If there are any monsters under there, you can just go away right now, she gulped. No monsters here, said a very large voice. We're not monsters, we're giants, said another very large voice. Shh, we don't want her to know that, said a third very large voice. Ah! Screamed Penelope. Go to sleep, Penelope's father yelled from down the hall. I'm never, ever, not in a million, trillion, gazillion years going to go to sleep, Penelope yelled back. She pulled the quilt up over her head. Penelope's bed kept shaking. Penelope stayed under her quilt. The dresser drawers started to bang. Penelope stayed under her quilt. The closet door started to rattle. Penelope stayed under her quilt. Her teeth chattered, her knees clattered, her heart fluttered and thumped. She shivered and quivered. She trembled and quaked. But the shaking and the banging and the rattling went on and on. And on 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 and on. Enough! Penelope shouted, throwing off her quilt and turning on the light. Hey, all you monsters! Why don't you stop hiding if you're so scary? Why don't you come out and scare me? Nothing happened. If you want to scare me, you'll have to come out and do it now, said Penelope. Nothing happened. I'm waiting, said Penelope. The dresser drawers opened and 3 tiny gnomes hopped out. 3 medium-sized trolls jumped out of the closet. 3 very large giants crawled out from under the bed. They all stared at Penelope. Penelope stared back at them. You're not very scary at all, said Penelope. The gnomes and trolls and giants all looked disappointed. You're actually pretty silly looking, said Penelope. The gnomes and trolls and giants all looked insulted. In fact, added Penelope, my father says you don't even exist. What? The gnomes and trolls and giants all looked furious. They turned their back on Penelope and held a secret meeting. Then, without even saying goodbye, they all walked out of her bedroom door. Penelope turned off the light and crawled into bed. She smiled to herself. I'm never ever, not in a million trillion gazillion years, going to be afraid of monsters again, she said. The next night, Penelope's father's dresser drawers started to bang. No monsters in there, but shh, we don't want him to know that.